Look, I'm seeing the Chicago Bears just made the entire NFL jealous, and that's because the Bears put themselves in a unique situation of being able to take advantage of a really unexpected player that became available. And the player that I'm talking about is former Atlanta Falcons defensive tackle Grady Jarrett. Now, I like the signing in itself, but kind of the situation that the Bears found themselves in is that Atlanta essentially released Grady Jarrett to make room for signing Drew Dalman. They really wanted to keep him. So what did the Bears do? Such a healthy cap space situation that they were in, such a disciplined way of approaching free agency and not just grabbing for Trey Hendrickson. The Bears were able to get Drew Dalman to sign with us for less money than what presumably Atlanta was offering. There's also a rumor that Seattle was in the mix, because Drew Dalman wanted to be a Chicago Bear, because he believed in what head coach Ben Johnson was building. So now you have Grady Jarrett released so the Falcons could sign Drew Dalman, and the Bears not only get Drew Dalman, but they essentially get a luxury pickup, a defensive tackle that's going to fill in so well with what the Bears already have. And we're looking at just a relentless pursuit of rebuilding this team, creating a winning roster. And on the first day of NFL free agency, you see this. The Bears agreeing to terms with former Atlanta Falcons defensive tackle Grady Jarrett. Jarrett is going to sign a 3-year, $43.5 million deal with Chicago, and that's just hours after he got released by the Falcons. And it's so cool that the Bears put themselves in such a good situation that when a player like this dropped and was ripe for the picking, the Bears could just pounce. And you're looking at these 3 contracts for these 3 players. I'm talking Grady Jarrett, Dio, that they just signed at defensive end, plus this Drew Dalman signing, all for similar money. All for guaranteed money stacked into these first 2 years of the contracts. So if something goes south, the Bears can dump the 3rd year and essentially not have all this dead cap space for making a bad decision. Really protected, and also protecting future cap space. Just a fantastic job that the Bears have done here, and I don't know how you can really argue about it. The only way that you can argue about it and be a little annoyed is because you look at him, he's 31 years old, and he only had 2.5 sacks last season. First of all, that's from the defensive tackle position, but this ignores a couple factors. Jarrett, if you look at it in more detail, the guy had 34 quarterback pressures last year. That's crazy. That's so impressive too, because he was coming out off of an ACL tear in 2023. Sorry guys, I am so excited. This is such a good day. And you're also looking at all those pressures coming from a guy that didn't really have that much help around him at Atlanta. The defense was kind of a dumpster fire. And don't forget that Dennis Allen also knows him well. Dennis Allen coached against the Falcons for years with the Saints. He knows exactly what kind of player Jarrett can be. And hey, I think Dennis Allen is like, that guy's available. He's a stud. Get him on our team. And also the kind of cool fit is that the guy's not going to have to carry all the load. We've got a luxury pick now. He can play more of a rotational role, and he can utilize his skills as an interior pass rusher without the added wear and tear of defending the run. If Andrew Billings is back from injury, all things are indicating that he's going to be ready to go. Man, we've got our anchor back at defensive tackle at the nose. We've got a developing Jervon Dexter at 3-tech, but we've also got a stud 3-tech that's ready to come in for pass rushing downs. Just a killer rotation. And if you look at Philly, how they built their defense for this Super Bowl run, how they just dominated the Kansas City Chiefs during the Super Bowl, they did it with like 8 guys deep that can rush the passer. The Bears are trying to get there. And the only thing that the Bears have kind of been missing was quickness and explosion on the interior. Like, that's been lacking. But even at 32 years old, I'm telling you, Jarrett, he still should be able to provide both. His arrival also furthers the goal of allowing Poles to enter the NFL draft next month without having to be governed by needs. He's not governed by a defensive end need. He's not governed by a defensive tackle need. He's not governed by a center or guard need. We have our tackles already, but sure, I would love to get more offensive line talent. I think that should be the first priority. But teams have got to be jealous of what Chicago has done because we literally have the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft, and we can literally rotate to the best player available no matter who it is, besides quarterback. But you get what I'm saying? That could be bringing in Ashton Genty, swinging for the fences, giving us our Jahmyr Gibbs of this offense. You could also look at the best tackle dropping. What if Will Campbell drops? We could grab him. What if the best defensive end is there? We can grab him. What if a story I did a few days ago, Mason Graham drops? We can drag him. Just an endless realm of possibility here. And the Bears knew exactly what they wanted here. We've made 5 offseason moves so far, and each one of these address the needs in the trenches. Guys, you are getting what you wished for here. I am so excited. I'm going to be super positive, Sean. If you guys are ready, if you guys are used to regular positive Sean, this is going to be an overdrive today. We're looking at him being a fan favorite in Atlanta, and let's just kind of give an overview here. Falcon for 12 seasons, 126 career quarterback hits, 77 career tackles for a loss, 36.5 career sacks, and the Bears just got him on 3 years, $43.5 million, $28.5 million guaranteed, mostly front-loaded in the first 2 years for an older guy, and roughly $14 million a season, which is what these 3 signings today have been. I think it's fantastic. And what does it do for our defense? Once again, it adds a talented and experienced 3-tech. And he can be paired up with Andrew Billings and Gervon Dexter. And maybe even Zach Pickens can actually come around a little bit. If anybody can get it out of him, that's going to be Dennis Allen. And what does it really mean for this defensive line? We made a former Pro Bowler who was a cap casualty immediately a Chicago Bear within an hour of him being available. Agreed to a 3-year contract right away. The Bears have made 5 offseason moves so far. Jarrett's addition is arguably the biggest for what it does. We're looking at a 2019 second-team All-Pro, a 2-time Pro Bowler, former fan favorite, great locker room guy for 12 seasons in Atlanta. Once again, 126 career quarterback hits, over 30 of those being in just last year. And he can do the same thing for this defensive line that we're talking about. Joe Thuney giving the offensive line, being a guy that's an instant lift to the locker room, plus can give Pro Bowl production on the line. These trenches have been shored up so nicely. Some of these players weren't massive needs. I mean, Jarrett wasn't a massive need. But once again, Chicago has put themselves in a place that when they see a talented player, they didn't have to hesitate. They could just get them. And the sides couldn't reach an agreement in Atlanta. They couldn't keep him. The guy bounced back from a torn ACL in Week 8 of the 2023 season, and he looks like full go because when he returned in 2024, he proved he could still be a solid player. 2.5 sacks and 53 total tackles in 2024. We talked about the pressures, and we're talking about this experience being perfect to pair next to Gervon Dexter. I love the signing of Odengo. I love the signing of Jarrett. This is really filling out the trenches here. And let's hear a quote from Bears general manager, not wanting to stop at one addition coming into this free agency. This is from him. There are a lot of unknowns in the draft as far as who's going to be there for you. Look, I've talked about that before. You can have philosophical beliefs in how you want to build a football team and how you prioritize, but the supply has to match the needs, and the opportunities have to present themselves at the right time. So I think this is just a piece of the puzzle that absolutely could not overlook. We're looking at the first day of free agency, you guys, including the best center on the market in Drew Dahlman, an underrated up-and-coming guy in Dayo Odeyingbo. You can look at his sack numbers last year if you want, but the year previous, 8 sacks, I believe, 7 or 8 sacks. But he's had 17 quarterback hits in the last 2 years. I think he's an ascending stud, but still, he's here on an economical deal that we can get out of. This is so much better than swinging for the fences for Trey Hendrickson, getting rid of our draft capital, paying for the privilege with draft capital to pay the guy between $30 and $40 million a year. We got these different makers for $14 million per. Just 3 really nice swings. And if you think Super Bowls are won in the trenches, I think we are well on our way here. You guys let me know. Peter Schrager had this to say. Bears, my early pick for the team that's improved the most this offseason. Grady Jarrett and Joe Thuney are a very much needed veteran team that will still have plenty left in the tank. And I think Schrager is right. You guys let me know in the comments. Let's chop it up. I'm super excited. Bear down. And hey, so much more to look forward to. I'll see you soon.